Hey there my lovelies, and welcome to my BookTube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is V, and today I'm going to talk about my April wrap-up. I can't believe I'm already doing my April wrap-up, but apparently it's already the end of the month. And there's only just a couple of days left of April, so I decided to do my wrap-up now. I don't have any books to show this time around because most of them were actually library books. So I will just blend them in here and do my usual thing without holding a book in my hands, which is kind of weird because this is a book channel, but okay, never mind. So first things first, two things I need to say before I continue. One, why is it still so freaking cold over here? We had 3 degrees in the morning and it's the end of April. I finally want to have summer. It's way too cold for this time of the year. I don't know how the weather is over at your place, but if you have any sun rays to spare, please send them my way. I really need sunshine. Okay, and the second thing I want to say is, I know, by now this is an empty promise channel because I still didn't finish the 3 books I wanted to read in April, but in my defense, 2 of them have 800 and plus pages. Winter and Queen of Air and Darkness are really huge books, and Call Down the Hawk has I think 400 and plus pages as well. So there's that. Those books are huge and I actually managed to read them. I started to read them. I'm at about I think 30% in each one of them. So I think I can cut myself some slack and say at least I actually started to read them. And now that I'm 30% into them, I'll definitely finish them. I won't make any promises anymore that I will finish them in May, but I'm on the right track and I will get to them. Yeah. Okay, just to say this and to let you know how far I am and to let you know why those 3 books won't be in this wrap-up video. Gotta be honest and transparent here. Anyway, let's go to the 4 books I actually read in April. And I gotta say, April was an amazing reading month. I can't remember a month I loved reading as much as in this one. I read so many good books and they had me glued to the pages and I was just happy to read them. So yeah, I read 4 books in April. Most of them actually got 4.5 paws, or at least 4 paws. So this was a great reading month. And I enjoyed them all so much. It was amazing. And before I continue to babble, I will just talk about the 4 books I read. And the first book I finished in April was Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell. And this book was amazing. I gave it 4 paws. Probably it would have gotten 4.25 paws from me. But since I only do half paw ratings, I will say it was a 4 paws book. Yeah, I think we can go with that. And as for what it is about, I wanted to read Winter's Orbit for a very long time. I even requested an ARC for it when it was available on NetGalley. I was unfortunately declined. So it took me a little while to get the book at my library and to actually read it, but it was amazing. So basically this book is about 2 men. One of them is Prince Keem and the other one is Caylan, or I think he's some sort of lord or something like that. Definitely aristocracy at his planet. And well, the thing is, Kaigen, I will just pronounce him Kaigen now because I really honestly don't know how you pronounce his name. I will just say Kaigen and go with this. He was married to Prince Tom at first, and Prince Tom was actually Kim's cousin, but unfortunately Tom died in an accident with his flyer or with a pod or something like that, something that can fly. So he died and his machine just crashed into the mountains, and yeah, he's gone for good. And Kaigen is kind of forced to marry Prince Kim so that their alliance between their two planets is going to continue, and that they are close to making another treaty. I think, if I remember it correctly, every 10 years all the planets make a new treaty together and negotiate their terms. And after they signed that, the peace treaty will continue for the next 10 years or so. So those two are basically forced to get married. And well, that was an interesting aspect because it's a political marriage, obviously, and at first it seems like they don't have anything in common. Prince Kim is kind of the bad boy of the palace. He drinks a lot, he goes at a lot of parties, but he has his heart in the right place. And Kaigen is very, very self-aware. He is shy, he always holds back, he bites his tongue multiple times in this book. And he never really says what he actually thinks. So at first those two have a lot of trouble to get along because whatever Kim does, Kaigen gets it wrong. You might say it like that. And this miscommunication trope between them was actually one of the things that caused me to put the rating down to 4 paws instead of 4.5, because yeah, I don't like the miscommunication trope. And even though it was justified in this book, and we find out later on why it was justified, I still didn't like it, and I think it could have been handled differently. But anyway, those two get to know each other, and the more they get to know each other, the more they fall in love. This book had a lot of policy, more policy than I thought it would have, but considering it plays around that peace treaty, I should have expected that, or probably should have expected that. So I really enjoyed that one. I loved Prince Kim. Prince Kim is my new book boyfriend, honestly. He is amazing. And those two, they just fit together so well. It's a really, really slow burn due to certain circumstances. But you will read that when you read the book. I don't want to spoil anything, but this is one of those books that would have to come with certain trigger warnings. So be aware of that. I will definitely make sure to write them down in my review on Goodreads and on my blog, because I always think it's important to address trigger warnings. So I will address them in my written reviews. For now, I will just leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything, and this video is probably getting way too long already. So let's just keep it simple and short. Haha, simple and short. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, the second book I want to talk about, and which I read in April, was Flash Fire by T.J. Klune. It was already the second book in the Extraordinary series, and I can't say all too much about the plot because I would spoil you for the first book if I did, but what I can say is that it was as hilarious as book 1, probably even more hilarious because there are so many weird and crazy situations. I still love the way Nick thinks. Nick's brain is amazing. Funnily, I can relate to a lot of the thoughts he has. I usually just keep them to myself and he blurts them out. So that's the difference between us two. But it was so much fun, and there are other extraordinaries appearing in this book, and they are amazing. I totally love to find out about those new extraordinaries. Obviously, it also deals with the true identity of Shadowstar, and there is that unresolved business from book 1 when we found out something at the ending that is going to be really tough for Nick. I felt so sorry for Nick when he found out about certain parts of his past, and this book, honestly, it broke my heart in tiny little pieces at some parts, because I totally got where Nick was coming from and why he was so angry. I'm just glad that he has his really amazing friends. I swear Gibby and Jess were hilarious. And of course Seth. Seth is a precious cinnamon roll, which needs to be protected at all costs. So I really loved this book. It was amazing. New superheroes, a lot of things that are revealed from the past, action, suspense, heartbreak. It had everything I want in a book. So it got 4.5 paws. I probably rated 5 stars on Goodreads and 4.5 paws on my blog, because if I have to, I would round it up. So yeah, Goodreads still doesn't have half stars. I gotta deal with it. And of course, it all revolves around prom. So we have quite interesting prom action in this one. Not gonna say more, but you will enjoy it when you read it. Okay, so since I can't talk all too much about this book without spoiling a lot of things, I just leave it at that and go to the next book I read, and it's She Gets the Girl by Rachael Lippincott and Alyson Derrick. I had to write it down because it are 2 authors, and both of them are lesbians, I think, because it was spoken about their wives. I don't know if they are together or if they have wives outside of their offer marriage. If you want to say it like that. I couldn't find that out with my research, but I think this was such a good example of great representation, because this book was really so cute and lovely, and it had an FF relationship, and Molly and Alex were very relatable, and also the way they kind of connect and fall in love later on was done so well. And as I already said, usually FF representation in books is really hard to convey, but it definitely worked in this one, and I think it's due to the authors and their personal representation in the book. It's authentic. They know how to convey those feelings because they are part of the LGBTQIA+ community. So what is the book about? We have Alex Blackwood, a very cool name, by the way, as cool as the girl. And on the other hand, we have Molly, and those two have nothing in common. The only reason they both get to know each other is because they are taken to a house party, or a college party at that, and they meet there, and it's probably instant dislike on both of their sides. Alex is the kind of girl that gets along with everyone and is an easy flirt, and I think she just has such a flirty personality. Some people do. I've been told I have one too, so yeah, I don't know. But she does. And Molly is very shy, introverted, has social anxiety, so those two couldn't be any more different. And the fact that Alex is hitting on Cora, Molly's crush for years, doesn't really help to cause them to get along. So what happens? Molly drives them all home after the party, and Alex notices how she looks at Cora and offers her to help her get the girl. In exchange for Molly telling Natalie, Alex's ex-girlfriend, now it's getting interesting, that she is just her friend and helped her to get Cora. Because Natalie just recently broke up with Alex because she couldn't stand her flirty personality and doesn't trust her. And quite honestly, if you ask me, Natalie was such a toxic character. But yeah, that will be addressed in the book, thankfully. And I was actually surprised because basically the entire book is about those two girls trying to help each other out, and they fall in love while they do it. So yeah, that was a really nice concept. It has the enemies to tentative friends and then more premise going for itself, which was very nice. And I loved that Alex and Molly could be completely normal around each other. They didn't have to hide anything because the other one knew most of the things about them. There's a lot about Alex and her life that is revealed throughout the book. She isn't a character that trusts easily. She has her reasons for that. That would be the part where I address the trigger warnings. And there are quite some when it comes to Alex. So I wrote them down in my review on Goodreads. If you want to know them, you can look them up there. I won't explicitly tell them here. But be aware of that. For some people, this might be triggering. Okay, so yeah, two girls, completely different background, completely different families, and they kind of fall in love while they try to get other love interests. It was cute. It was really cute. There were those really sweet moments with tension in the air, and I think it was pretty tame in comparison to other books. Those two, let's just say, I think holding hands and kissing is the most that happens in this book. But it was really cute, it was nice. I gave it 4 paws, and yeah, it's definitely a good book to read. And the last book I read in April, which was definitely my fave. It will get 5 paws from me, or 5 stars on Goodreads. And it was Cutting Your Teeth by Caylan MacRae. I hope I pronounced it right. If I didn't, I'm very sorry. And this book, oh god, it was packed. I requested this book frenetically because it just got out. I was very late with reading the arc, but I also requested it very late and got lucky enough to be approved for it. And this book was packed as all for the game vibes that meet vampires, and I was so down for it because, as you know, I love All for the Game, and it's been ages, or at least for a month. I finished the book, I think it's 5 months by now. I finished the book in November, the 3rd book, the last book of the All for the Game series, and I've been looking for something similar or something as good and gritty as this series. And then there was this arc, and I just had to request it, and I got approved, and I was so happy. I even made a happy dance, I think, when I found out that I got approved. And then it said All for the Game meets vampires and the supernatural, and I was all down for it. And honestly, I had such a field day reading this book. It's It has those kind of All for the Game vibes because Ezra is on the run from his family, sounds family, right? Mafia background and all that jazz. And Kaylan is the vampire that eventually ends up turning him because Ezra gets into trouble and Kaylan doesn't want him to die, so he turns him. And those two boys, they were so cute. Honestly, it was such a slow burn, and there was a lot of Neil in Ezra because not only of his past and running from his family, also the trauma he had, the things we find out about his past, what he went through. It broke my heart. It so broke my heart. And then there's Kaylan, the vampire. He isn't really like Andrew. He's a different kind of sort. He didn't give me Andrew vibes, but he is amazing. He offers him a family and a life, and Ezra is getting to know him and Marisol. Marisol is Kaylan's friend or family, you might say, and he becomes part of this family, and there happens a lot of action in this book as well. So I really needed to know how it continues. I was glued to the pages. I constantly thought about the book. I wanted to pick it up. It might have some All for the Game and Neil Justin vibes, but when it comes down to it, the book is entirely different. There's an entirely different plot. The supernatural plot line is amazing. We don't just have vampires, we also have other supernatural creatures like werewolves and other things that might come in other books. This was actually the first book in the Cursed Corpses series, so I'm looking forward to at least 2 more of those books because I really want to know how Ezra's and Kaylan's relationship continues. It was a very slow burn. There didn't happen a lot between those two, but what the author excelled at was those little gestures, those hard-hitting moments, and just the chemistry between those two. Also, the supernatural plot was amazing. I love vampires and werewolves and all the supernatural stuff, so to have this in the book as well was great. I loved it. I really loved it. And yeah, I'm very curious how this series is going to continue. I'll definitely watch out for book 2. And maybe this is going to be my new obsession, who knows? So yeah, but also, just like with All for the Game, be aware of the trigger warnings. There are a lot of trigger warnings. There are plenty and many. I will write them down in my review as well, because I think there are way too many to mention them here. Just remember, if you've read All for the Game, what all the trigger warnings were about. And you will get a good idea of the trigger warnings in here. So yeah, I absolutely loved and adored Kaylan and Ezra. And the book, honestly, it broke my heart a little bit much at some points. And the found family vibe is so nice in here, and the fact that Ezra feels safe for once when he's around Kaylan, and it's just, it was really, it was exactly what I needed and craved after finishing All for the Game. It's very different to All for the Game, and it can stand on its own, but it definitely has the vibes going for it. Okay, so this was the last book I finished in April. I started to read The Sword of Kaigen with Ellie at Bibbidi Bobbidi Books. I'm about 65% into the book right now. I won't do a review of it now because I want to wait until I finished the book, because I want to go for an actual review when I finish the book. So this will have to wait until May. until my May wrap up. But this book is so good. All the people that raved about it, they were right. Anyway, I will definitely speak about this one in my next wrap-up video. For now, I'll just leave it at that. And well, let me know which kind of books you read in April. Did you have an as amazing reading month as I did? I mean, I think I didn't read a book under 4 paws. They all got at least 4 paws from me. So that's quite a good reading month. Did you read any of the books I read? Have you heard of Cutting Your Teeth? Are you interested to read it now after I basically raved about it so much? Which kind of books did you read in April? Were they good or were they bad? How was your reading month? And I think I'm already at the ending of my video. There's nothing left to say except of take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time. Bye!